Paleocontact or ancient astronaut narratives first appeared in the early science fiction of the late 19th to early 20th century, including the 1898 novel Edison's Conquest of Mars and the works of H.P. Lovecraft. The idea was proposed in earnest by journalist Harold T. Wilkins in 1954. It grew in popularity in the 1960s, mainly due to the space race and the success of Erich von Däniken's works, although it also received limited consideration as a serious hypothesis. Critics emerged throughout the 1970s, discrediting von Däniken's claims. Ufologists separated the idea from the UFO controversy. By the early 1980s, little remaining support could be found. In 1963, Carl Sagan published a paper where he used the Drake equation to suggest that it was plausible that there were 1 million intelligent civilizations in the Milky Way, with the nearest one at several hundred light-years from us. After arguing that there were theoretical propulsion methods, namely the Bussard ramjet, that made interstellar travel at relativistic velocities feasible, Sagan explored the probabilistic argument that Earth may have been visited once during historical times and considered whether pre-scientific narratives could offer a potentially reliable means of describing contact with aliens. Sagan illustrated this hypothesis by citing the 1786 expedition of French explorer Jean-François de Galaup, Comte de la Pérouse, which made the earliest first contact between European and Tlingit cultures. The contact story was preserved as an oral tradition by the preliterate Tlingit. Over a century after its occurrence, it was then recorded by anthropologist George T. Emmons. Although it was framed in a Tlingit cultural and spiritual paradigm, the story remained an accurate telling of the 1786 encounter. According to Sagan, this proved how under certain circumstances, a brief contact with an alien civilization will be recorded in a reconstructible manner. He further states that the reconstruction will be greatly aided if 1. The account is committed to written record soon after the event, 2. A major change is effected in the contacted society, and 3. No attempt is made by the contacting civilization to disguise its exogenous nature. He cited Babylonian accounts of the Apkallu, fish-like beings who emerged from the sea to teach agriculture, mathematics, and the arts to early Sumerians, as deserving closer scrutiny as a possible instance of Paleocontact due to its consistency and detail. While the authors stressed that these ideas were speculative, and not intended to establish claims of past visitation, the contents of the 1963 paper were repeated and expanded in the widely popular book Intelligent Life in the Universe, co-authored with Soviet astrophysicist Iosif Shklovsky and published in 1966. In his 1979 book Brooker's Brain, Sagan suggested that he and Shklovsky might have inspired the wave of 1970s ancient astronaut books, expressing disapproval of von Däniken and other uncritical writers who seemingly built on these ideas not as guarded speculations but as valid evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Sagan claimed that while many legends, artifacts, and purported out-of-place artifacts were cited in support of ancient astronaut hypotheses, very few require more than passing mention and could be easily explained with more conventional hypotheses. Sagan also reiterated his earlier conclusion that extraterrestrial visits to Earth were possible but unproven, and improbable.